Hello, my Libra risings. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day just like yourself. Yes, you are ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty. It's only right for my Leo Venus to start this off with a compliment. So, welcome. My name is Haley, otherwise known as Moon Girl, otherwise known as at my Moon Girl readings on Instagram. So if you guys came from Instagram or y'all know me there, welcome. Welcome to our expanded home, YouTube. And if this is your first time stopping on by, pleasure to meet you. This is an astrology community that has grown from Instagram, and I'm also on Tumblr as well. There's a few of us on there, and we just unapologetically go so deep and are passionate and like to talk about astrology. So if you love astrology or you want to know what your 2026 year ahead is going to look like, then go ahead and continue watching. The structure of this video is going to be, starting off, first part is 7 of the major transits that are going to be taking place in 2026 and what that means for you. Then, because each and every chart is so nuanced and there's so much nuance to people's different aspects, people's different rulers, people's different degrees, I thought that I'd play with chance, with probability, with the astro dice and get a very specific message for those specifically watching. So that will be part 2, and then let me grab part 3 is going to be a page of guidance from this book. So this book is a book with 365 pages in it. I'm going to be picking a date, and my intention for the date that you get by random is going to be a important or a special date for you. So, and it's also going to have an affirmation for the year. So that is the structure of today's video. If you would like, there's a free button. She's super cute. You know, if you want to flirt, kind of just like see what's up with the subscribe button. I know my Libra risings are natural flirts. That's the only reason why I say that. If you smiled at all, you got to click the subscribe button. I don't make the rules. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the video. So starting with transit number 1, my Libra risings, we have Jupiter that is going to be wrapping up in Cancer this year. So this is the accumulation of a final debut for Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter in Cancer, whether you know a lot about astrology or not that much, it just feels the best in Cancer. It feels good in a few signs. However, it feels just the best in Cancer. And that's because, you know, Jupiter is the planet of memories, you know, and how that shapes our journey. Cancer is related to memories, and Cancer likes to pour into memories. Cancer is very nostalgic, very sentimental, very reflective, and Jupiter also represents abundance, and Cancer taps into this abundance through what we give our attention to, through our feelings being very powerful and cultivating, you know, the vision. And also Cancer waters, it nurtures, it's the wife, it's the mother, right? Very, very nurturing archetype. And so whatever house Cancer has Cancer is in your chart, that's where Jupiter has been really expanding. Now, Jupiter can also, you know, with Cancer is always a shadow and a light. The shadow is huge emotions, right? So this can be a shadow or a light, right? There can be, depending where you're at, depending on what the situations bring, but most of the majority can say that they've experienced both. The shadows can be feeling emotionally overwhelmed. It can be emotionally letting go. It can be, you know, just even reflecting on how we react emotionally, and, you know, even really big shadows like emotional manipulation, or, you know, what's a good way for us to cathartically release our emotions, right? Catharsis is the releasing of emotions. So we've been doing some homework, we've been getting some blessings, we've had perhaps some opportunities being shuffled around. Now that's something that tends to happen with Jupiter too. Jupiter tends to come through with a lot of opportunities, but typically we have to let go of things in order to get such opportunities, right? And so something that and you know what it is too with Cancer's so the mother archetype, and you guys have Cancer in your guys' 10th house. Your legacy is being the Cancer archetype. Something I really, really love about the Cancer archetype is that I feel like it does let go, because when it is time to get married, I feel like they have this ability to, even though they like to be in their own shell, their own crab, they will let go of the singlehood, right? In order to be there for their partner and able to grow something, because they know that they're building something more worth long lasting than they would be able to do just by themselves in terms of emotional satisfaction, right? And so, and then another part of Cancer is being the mother, right? Taking care of a business or a project or an empire or a household or a family, pets. There is this really simple detachment from, you know, being not a mom, not a caretaker, not responsible for other living things, right? So there could have been some behaviors we could have needed to let go of attachment to. The 10th house is our career, so that could be career paths. That could be within our career, perhaps even letting go of the whole career together. Now that might sound a little crazy, but if you're watching this and that is something that has been happening for you, do know that Cancer will go where it's more emotionally satisfied. Typically with Cancer midhavens and Cancer 10th housers, they feel very, and I say this all just based off of what represents what, tend to feel like unless their life, their purpose, why they're waking up in the morning is something that emotionally fulfills them in some way, shape, or form, it can be very hard for them to continue on living that legacy and giving all of their effort to that. So Jupiter in Cancer is definitely giving us insight into the future, as well as wrapping up some past cycles of letting things go when it comes to the legacy we would like to create. And even if you don't have a career, and you're a stay-at-home parent, or, you know, a stay-at-home partner, or, you know, you're very creative, right? You're creative in that way. This is all going to lean towards what's more emotionally fulfilling. And therefore, when we are emotionally fulfilled and there is the emotional fulfillment, you know, that can lead to mental fulfillment, that could lead to spiritual fulfillment, which leads to the fulfillment in, I just saw 111. It is 111. In California as I am filming this. Yesterday was the 111 portal, but all that being said, there could also be some helpful guides in this area of life, people helping to create more opportunity, helping to open our eyes and to see the bigger picture, to see the bigger view. Do know that you are seeing the bigger view within your career life. And of course, that's reflecting, you know, the 4th house, our emotional psychological foundation. Are we emotionally happy when we go out and we put work in? When we come home at the end of the day behind closed doors, what's our partnership life like? What's our domestic routines? What do we do to unwind? What do we do to relax? What do we do to reset our nervous system? So we're finding a balance between those two areas of life. There are going to continue to be blessings in this house. So do not miss out. Right before summertime, Jupiter is going to be in its final degrees in Cancer, and that's going to be almost like a season finale. I'm saying 1-2-1-1-2 right here too, which is a lot around new and new solid foundations. So even if something looks a little new, a little more, you know, we're starting some new things or we are settling in, do know that whatever the blessing that is, or the blessings that are coming in, no matter what the situation looks like, that was 100% for the emotional gratification for our future. So sometimes Jupiter is definitely an investment planet, And the expansion, once we expand our consciousness, even awareness, it takes some time for the physical, for it to show up in the physical. So do know whether it is a mindset change all the way to you actually like move and get a new home and like you're settled, whether it's in more the physical later on, or even just the emotional shift or the mental shift, that is something that is going to bear fruitful results for the upcoming cycles. So leaning into the second transit, this is Jupiter entering Leo. So Jupiter is going to be moving from your guys' 10th and 4th houses to your guys' 11th and 5th houses. The 11th and 5th houses in esoteric astrology are known as the good fortune houses. They're very good karma houses. The 11th house esoterically is connected to the New World servers. If you know anything about the 3 waves of volunteers associated with Dolores Cannon's work, that is what I would also describe that as. I think that's just another way to describe the esoteric astrology New World group of servers. And then the 5th house is a good karma house because that is, in esoteric astrology, the path of the creative dharma. Right? So not everybody has their dharma, their purpose connected to their career. And I just saw 1111. So again, important message right here for you, Libra risings. It's not just connected to our career. It is connected to creativity towards, if the purpose is creativity, there's like really 3 aspects to the 5th house, which the North Node's moving through there. So destiny is expanding in these 3 options / areas within the 5th house. So one is a lighter heart. So we are going to be experiencing and moving past any blockages that are keeping us from such thing, a lighter heart. This is basically bringing heaven down to earth. It very much so. I don't know if you've ever heard it's not an adage. It's kind of, I see it as like a proverb, but I'm not 100% on the origins or the exact delivery, but I do know that Native Americans would say, if your heart, after you have lived your earthly life, goes on a scale with a feather and it balances out, then you may enter the kingdom, right? And I think that's just a metaphor, like why it's coming to my head is that's how we anchor down heaven for us. And with a Libra rising, you all are really here to enjoy the best of Earth. Venus is so connected to Earth, and I think Taurus specifically, Libra too, they're both so connected to Earth. And this is the good wine, the good vibes, the good music, the good times with people that we just love, that are funny, that lift us up, that make us feel good. This is sexy, romantic, sensual time. This is interacting with life in a sensual way. This is interacting with life from our inner child, right? That lightness that a child has naturally within them. So light heart. And then creatively, this is things being born, right? So this can also be connected to fertility. The 5th house is sex. The 8th house is sex too, but the 8th house and the 12th house is actually sex as well. Like there's many houses connected to, the act. However, the 5th house really is orgasms. It is, when we have that healthy release and we have that ability to, it's a lot of energy that is directed into that, so much of our energy, right? It's like once we know that we could have this pleasure, a lot of times humans will drop everything, we'll go and travel 100 miles sometimes. We do some crazy things sometimes, right? Of course, crazy in our own flair. However, this can be applied not only in a physical sense around sexually, just being very comfortable with ourselves. There's a confidence that comes from this. There's a passion that comes alive. There is, with the 5th house, a birthing through creativity, through creatively, right? In the act, right? It's the 5th house is also performer. This would be the house of sex workers and things like that, because it is the creativity that does come. Leo, the fifth house, is connected to Neptune, cameras, things like that. The fifth house is performing. When performance is, there's a vision, there's a creativity of bringing multiple things together to perform, to put on a show, to bring pleasure, to make people laugh, to, make people feel good. This is something where we could be very, very creative, or very much in a new, like, explorative, kind of like sexual, sensual sort of energy where babies are being born. This could definitely be if you are pregnant and you're expecting a child within the second half of 2026. That definitely could be taking place. And also as well, if you've been wanting to birth a project, if you have projects that have kind of been on the back burner, I could definitely see perhaps you going in to reinvent some of those projects to where they are fitting more into alignment now, because fifth house in Aquarius really is being very, very inventive and very being able to do things your own fashion, your own style, your own way creatively. So I see that. And then third, with the fifth house, I would just say overall, if we have been wanting more vitality, the will to live, it comes within the fifth house through creativity and through creating, even if it's just like having fun and doing things for fun. Kind of how when kids are bored, like they easily find, I think sometimes easier than humans, an ability to find the fun. Like just go where the fun is, make something up. And this also can be dating. This can be romance. So I would not be surprised if my Libra risings are going to be going out with their partners a lot more, like more experimental with the dates and flirty and fun activities. And then if you are single, I could see this as kind of destiny knocking on your door in the form of different dates. However, destiny could be knocking on your door with opportunities also around like creativity, or this could also be children. Then we have the 11th house with the South Node moving through the 11th house. So this is going to be a rearrangement of our hopes and wishes and a rearrangement of our manifestations. So if we've been consistent, very powerful throughout our life of we can do anything we set our mind to, Leo always wants, for the most part, always wants to be the best, right? I don't know many Leos who, I guess you could say that, like, just wants to be the best version of themselves or of that placement. And they really like want just like to dream again about that, and they always kind of come back to that. And I do feel as though Jupiter moving into Leo, we are going to have also, we're going to be meeting soul family members. So I find this as well. I don't know if you guys relate. 11th house is connected to the 5th house. The 11th house is our soul family members, our community, our friends, online communities, online presence, social media, things like that. And then the 5th house is like flirty, temptation, or I wouldn't say so much temptation, although it can be. Like the 5th house can be a little hedonistic, right? So it's like, do I really need the extra donut? Do I really, this is like my 7th massage? Like, and it's like fun is good and pleasure is good. However, we can kind of get like junk stomach, or we can like, perhaps just like lose track of some things, right? Like maybe some boundaries we have, like, oh, you know what? I said I was actually going to work out when I was going to get a massage, right? And it's like, oops, like the 5th house is kind of like, this energy, it's a really feel good energy no matter what. However, I can see where maybe that will be a little bit of like the learning curve within 2026 is going to be, especially the second half of 2026 might be a little bit but not much. It's just cutting back on the drama, right? Within like some people that are in our lives, whether this is coworkers, whether this is, kind of the people that we're surrounded by. If we feel like anyone's kind of holding us back from our evolution, this is going to come up. And then you'll know that you are connecting with your people. Typically, you'll feel it. I feel like that's very similar to the if you know, you know. However, with being able to connect with the right people, they will understand what you are about. They will understand where you're going. They will understand what you're going through at this current time, right? So also rediscovering talents, old talents, things like that also coming up. And then we have the third transit, Saturn in Aries. So Saturn is going to be in Aries for a little over 2 years. You guys have seventh house Aries. So this could be a time where we're really weeding out anything holding us back from our dream lifestyle, weeding out any relationship patterns that do not serve anymore, weeding out also our own anything holding us back from our own ability to be a brilliant partner, to be, and with Aries, be very interdependent, have our own thing going on, being raw, being brave, being vulnerable, being authentically you. And, also maybe even the shadow can be letting go of like some anger. This could be letting go of like some selfishness. But at the same time, finding the balance of being selfish, right? And having the balance of, being raw in terms and very real about what's going on when it's going on, right? And so Saturn's going to help us to cultivate this and also help us and assist us to cultivate more balance, right? This is going to allow for more balance. So we're bringing much more balance into our life by kind of worrying about ourselves a little bit more, but at the same time, also strengthening the other person within our one-on-one connections, right? Where we're validating their journey, their experience, and everyone's able to live as their more raw, authentic, truthful self, more confidently, right? So this is also a huge confidence in where we're going. I think that Saturn's going to refine so that we do feel very, very confident about where our lifestyle is going. If we've been wanting to be more fit, if we've been wanting to go live in the woods, if we've been hoping to get engaged, if we've been whatever it shall be with our dream lifestyle, Aries might have some more, a little bit of a fire lit underneath us to go ahead and go after that and to put in the work to go after that. And of course, that could involve other people. Of course, that could involve our partners. Of course, that could involve some work on ourselves. However, Saturn always, always, always rewards. And so there will be a reward in the relationship department. There will be rewards and just long-term results. Whatever we put in is what we get out with moving towards that lifestyle. And then it's also going to reflect in our identity. It's going to reflect in our worldview, adjusting as our lifestyle adjusts. So that is what I have there. This is also a great time to lay down some foundations for a business or for real estate. The seventh house is connected to both. And then we have Neptune entering Aries. So Neptune will be going through the seventh house, which is a pretty opposite energy of Saturn. I've been talking about this a lot throughout all your guys' different readings, but essentially I've been finding that Neptune is boundless versus Saturn is the king of boundaries. And with that being said, we're going to be able to make more progress in the next 2 years in this area of life than a lot of other times, as Neptune's going to be in Aries for many, many, many years. Saturn's going to be starting off joining Aries, which I think is so special. So this is really going to be your wildest dreams. We're going to be very sober and serious, yet we're also going to be like, there's no cap, there's no boundaries to what I can dream. Yes, it's good to set structures and boundaries within this area of life and get really real and sober with myself and take responsibility over what I can control. and how I will promise myself I will see results through the consistency, through the boundaries, through showing up. However, at the same time, I'm not going to put a limit on what's possible, right? And so that's for yourself as a partner. With the 7th house, that's for your relationships, that's for Libra risings, our business, our lifestyle, right? Like the dream lifestyle, and also the dynamics within the relationships, right? So this could also be, elevating in terms of I really want to meet my soul mate, right? And then the Saturn moving through the 7th house is going to say, okay, well, let's adjust our lifestyle. Let's, kind of pour into our identity. So we have a really solid sense of self. We are going to raise our vibration, and that's going to move and shift who we are aligning with, right? The 7th house. And so it's really a lot to do with us as a partner and then others. And I do think that this is going to be a beautiful time for unconditional love. That's going to be like the light aspect of the 7th house, right? And I do believe that so many of the people who follow me are people that also do the work, are people who, you guys are my spiritual warriors, just like myself. I relate when I tell you guys this, because my content is very much related to that. And so a lot of the light attributes, I do think the majority of my audience relates to that. However, we all have humanness, we all have shadow, and I like to know about the shadow. I like to know straight up what I can do about, shadow times in my life, or dark nights of the soul, or my own shadow, integrate that, just having the information to do what I shall with it. And I would say the shadow of, Neptune moving through the 7th house will be, that, again, I think it's coming to the sacrifice, right? Like Neptune is very, very sacrificial. It is connected to angels. It is connected to, kind of like angelic beings. It's connected to like selfless service, like selfless empathy, like unconscious empathy. It's just, it's very boundless. And so it is important for us to be able to, again, just draw those boundaries with what we will accept, what we won't accept. 7th house is contracts, right? So, when we get into marriages and things like that, prenups and contracts and actually legally getting married or visas to be together, whatever it may be, we want to make sure that there's a healthy amount of self-interest. However, I think this is also going to be a beautiful time where we're going to feel even more unconditional love. We're going to be connected to love. And unconditional love, within the 7th house is going to come across as more Venusian love. So that's going to be, listening and making sure things are fair, and, what would a good partner do on that sort of front. And that's going to help build our character. So that's what I have there. Also, there could be a lot of experimentation with our physical body in terms of discipline and in terms of really putting in the work to look how we want to look. That doesn't even have to be the gym. That could be like really mapping out what tattoos that you would like and that what identifies with you. This could also be fashion. 100% could be fashion or style, or even this can be our last names, right? Like if we're getting married, or if we have a last name of a parent that we just outgrown that timeline, or, this could also be a nickname being given to you, a name change, right? So anything having to do with our identity as well. So then we have the nodes entering Leo and Aquarius, which are, I feel like I went a lot into the 5th and 11th house axis when I talked about Jupiter. My brain went into actually thinking about North Node. So a lot of what I had mentioned very much is going to be, I think the only thing I would mention with the North Node and Aquarius is that freedom is going to feel so liberating. And I think, that's what I would say there. And then South Node moving through the 11th house, I think we're definitely reconnecting with soul family members from the previous lifetimes. And we're also getting connected to the wishes that we had also as a child, which I think is really cool. And so I do want to talk a little bit though, because 2026, the South Node will still be moving through your guys' 12th house. Oh, also the 11th house is the house of income that we get from our career. So expect a generous amount when we have Jupiter moving through the 11th house, and just being at the right place at the right time, meeting up with the right people, the right opportunities coming in, the right launches, the right investments, the right chances that we're taking. It's a time where we're really learning by doing. So even if the results don't come right away, which they shall come most likely, Jupiter's all about expansion as we expand, right? Like as we take an offer, even if we deny offers, right? Like it's really about going after what we hope and wish for and doing something that's heart authentic to us. That's when a lot of the income, right, is going to come through, and the money will come through. And also it's just going to come through because the 11th house is the income that we get from our 10th house. So the fact that Jupiter has been moving through the 10th house, once it's done halfway through 2026, it will switch into Leo. The South Node moving through that, I think, is just going to be letting go of anything, right, that is keeping us from not just our career and our purpose, but any other desires, hopes, and wishes that we may have, and evolving towards that. So then, yes, the South Node has been moving through the 12th house. This is a lot around letting go. And this can be a time where, we're letting go of control. We're letting go of having it all planned out. We're letting go of perfectionism. We're letting go of not speaking our truth. We're letting go of any mental suffering or any emotional reflection, like anything that it just like consumes us. We're really finding ways in reality to let that go. We could also be becoming more discerning with our inner voice, our inner words, and kind of just reframing like our inner world. This is kind of like cleanup is what I would say, like cleaning house, but it's in here. Because in here is very powerful with Virgo, right? These are like my scholars within their brain, right? Just like naturally is a sponge for information, naturally it's very, very intelligent, very, very detail orientated. We're tapping into the gifts there 100%. So a lot of the organization, a lot of the scholar intelligence, attention to detail gifts are being activated, and that is helping our spiritual world. That is making us feel more subconsciously calm and leaning us towards our desires. And at the same time, letting go of anything that will consume us and anything that is just energetically feeling heavy, like feeling dull, like we are just letting go so that we can be even like more productive naturally, right? And more discerning naturally and more in tune with our gut instinct of this is what I need right now. This is what I am going to do to recharge my energy. I'm not going to talk to this person. It is very much, it's going to connect to all different areas of your life. But Virgo is connected to what we say, what we think, and our gut instinct, as well as attention to details, as well as organization, as well as like, honestly, like a clean subconscious is really important here too. So perhaps even doing a diet of, like, I wouldn't be surprised with the North Node in the 6th house if there is like some sort of diet changes, right? Like maybe we're cutting out certain foods. With the 6th house, maybe we're trying out different times of waking up. Maybe we're going way more with the flow in our reality, in our day-to-day life and our routines, but we are getting more discerning and more connected to our gut instinct energetically, right? Energetically, the subconscious is subconscious. So when we watch TV or we listen or we scroll and doom scroll, or we are listening to music, or we're talking with people, or we're surrounded by other energies, it's just like intake. So to me, Virgo is very picky, very choosy. So this is spiritual upgrades of, I don't resonate with that anymore. I can't ingest that anymore. Whether it's a person, whether it's whatever, it's consuming me, or I don't like what I'm consuming because it's not smart. Like it's not making me feel clean. It's not making me feel pure. It's not making things easier. It's not making my life any easier. And I think that that's something that the Libra risings really do need, is for, their own self to kind of default to, let's make our life easier, right? Because this is a path of peace. This is a path of balance. And Virgo's that discerning factor on Earth, connected to the very intricate details of Earth that do the little things add up to the big picture, right? So this is habits, this is routines, this is boundaries, this is discernment. And then also with North Node moving through the 6th house, that's also in the first half of 2026, still some arrangements, maybe perhaps even rearrangements and destiny playing a role within our work life, within our career life, right? And also health-wise too. We may be just like intuitively feeling on the more Pisces end of, things are not so definite. If I just need to go with what I'm feeling each week, each day, each hour, then I'm just going to go with what feels good to my soul, what feels soul nourishing there. So, and we also could just be feeling like anything is possible, or like the possibilities are opening up. Like we are expanding past what we ever thought was possible within our work life, within our productivity, within our overall wellness of our life. Because when we feel good, we look good. That's why Pisces, very, very Venusian, connected 6th house daily reality, extraordinary, which allows for the path of Libra risings, right? Beauty, being surrounded by beauty, living a beautiful life. It can be very simple as well, right? It doesn't need to be very overstimulating. It actually, like simplicity, the simple things in life. Libra rising, right? So, living a day-to-day life that we kind of like romanticize, that we kind of enjoy. I see that there as well. So the next transit is going to be Uranus entering Gemini. So Uranus is going to be moving through your guys' 9th houses. This is a huge spiritual awakening, Libra rising. So you feel like you went through a spiritual awakening before, this is going to be insane. This can actually be so much of like on a journey for the next 8 years of someone, and typically they could probably have Gemini placements. Doesn't have to be the case, but Gemini is other people. I don't know why I said it like that. I was like, whoa. Because I feel passionate. Other people expanding our consciousness. I read a book. It's called Don't Believe Everything That You Think by Joseph Nguyen. It's like that big. It is a really easy read. It describes, the power of our thoughts and beliefs. And essentially, there was an excerpt from that book that I remember, and it said that once consciousness expands, like once it contracts and actually expands, it cannot retract back. So once it's very much that saying of, I can't unsee what I just saw, that sort of energy. It's going to be that you are going to see and things in terms of in the mind. This can be very, very mental. This is going to be with what we say. It's going to start mentally with how we're viewing things. This is a perspective, like our perspective, especially if we've been a little bit more traditional. Saturn is exalted in Libra. So sometimes Libra does take a very traditional route. However, that 9th planet, or that 9th house of expansion, is also Gemini. That being said, it could be what other people say. It could actually be people that are younger than you. It could be new friends. It could be learning something. This is just going on a journey in general. And that could happen in any way, shape, or form. This could be a mental journey. This could be an emotional journey. This could be a physical journey. Like we are saving up to travel and we're about to travel the next 8 years, whatever new journey that we set out on, which I feel like people talk about new journeys all the time, like how motherhood is a new journey, like how marriage is a new journey. even having, like, if you have kids or you have a family, even having, you know, the partners that your children marry come into your life, and that's a new journey. The family has expanded, right? And the legacy is being expanded. This can be college. This can be whatever it is. I would say that there's going to be lots of, and it's going to allow for us to have even more perspectives on our beliefs. And this is also going to lead to more good luck. This is also going to lead to a higher state of consciousness. This is going to basically be an upgrade within our belief system, which also is where our wisdom house is, right? Wisdom is learning by experience. It's things you can't learn in a book. It's things you can't learn in a podcast. It's things that you can't learn. This can be from other people sharing their stories. This can be from other people sharing their perspectives, but it typically is around connecting. And with Gemini, it's like connecting through speaking, connecting through. Sometimes it can involve a book, okay, because it's Gemini. However, that's, you know, you guys have, and of course, you guys have a Libra rising, so all the houses are flipped. So even though the ninth house is learn by doing, this could be a little like half and half of learn by doing, and then also learning by asking questions, learning by reading up on things, learning by hearing other people's stories, right? Other people's story times. So this can also involve foreigners, right? This also can involve foreigners, long distance travel. Yeah, so this is like possibilities opening up that we didn't even know were possible. It's going to be very, very cool. And then also it's going to change our inner thoughts, or that inner voice that talks, that we like speaks to us, that's getting upgraded. The mentality of like, I can do anything I set my mind to, and I believe in myself again. I believe in life again. I believe in a new way. And that's what kind of gives us a little bit of that. Once we get out of the eighth house and we phoenixed, we get that phoenix that like kind of flies over and like can see everything from above. It's no longer on the ground. It's not even an eagle. It's a phoenix. It is lighting up the sky. So that, I feel like, the ninth house is once the phoenix has set out on its journey, and who knows if it's like a guide for other people. That could also be something, is like being a guide for others that are coming into your life, or in your life. This could be like raising a child. This could be homeschooling a child. This could be, you know, connecting with our family's partners. This can be, you know, teaching, finally like opening that course, or coming out with that book, or starting that YouTube channel. Anything like that, right? Then we have, and I also would not be surprised if we like, it's the never say never planet when we have Uranus. So if we never thought that we would like something, or we never thought that we would, you know, look into that religion or do that spiritual practice, or just like ever experience blank on our journey, that's typically like the new experiences that tend to come towards us when we have Uranus, or the exact things that we said that would never happen, right? Because that comes from somewhere, that thought. And Uranus is a genius when it comes to our thoughts. So if it is going to upgrade us. Then the last but not least, we have the last transit as Chiron entering Taurus. Chiron's going to be entering your guys' 8th house. Lots and lots that I could say about this placement. For time's sake, I'm going to go over, we'll do the 8th house first. Chiron entering anyone's 8th house. This is the training ground. That is Chiron, right? Chiron is the training ground. So that's where a lot of experiences are going to be happening. And yes, these can be painful. However, they can also be the very thing that we came here to train for on our soul mission. This is huge because we're meant to be absolutely fantastic. I'm thinking of, I think it's Lady Gaga, where she goes, sensational, never seen before. She's like describing a lot of adjectives together to describe something great, right? And this is so that Chiron in mythology, he trained under Apollo, the jack of all trades. So, he trained in a lot of different areas and then went on to train the gods and goddesses, children of Olympus, right? So, he is the also kind of learn by doing. However, when we learn by doing something, we don't always get hurt reading a book, but if we go out there with our emotions, with our physical body, and we actually we take action, we may have to destroy obstacles to get there. That being said, being able to destroy those obstacles will come from repetition, from learning and healing the trigger, learning and healing the wound. And then once we have that ability, we shine like a star. We have a certain amount of healing, and we start off with a certain amount of healing with Chiron. First and foremost, we start off with gifts. We have that. When you have Chiron moving through Taurus, this is a gift around knowing what I deserve, what I want. I have an eye for beauty. I have an eye for the finer things. I have an eye for also what's going to feel comfortable, what's going to bring more stability, what's going to, more the luxurious experiences, right? But if someone has Chiron at a Taurus degree, or Chiron in the second house, or Chiron in Taurus, then the self-worth, even though maybe we have that, we will be have some experiences around that where we're still kind of training there. And in order to be able to be in that energy where not only we can execute, but we can even teach other people how to do it, we can heal other people, heal the wound to achieve the fruits, then that's going to come from practice. That's going to come from going out there and actually doing it, right? So this is going to be, of course, Chiron moving through Taurus is around experiences with luxury, right? We'll kind of go to the light aspects. So the light of, Chiron moving through Taurus is going to be luxury. It's going to be perhaps with cooking, with baking, with plating, with making things more beautiful than we found them, and the power in that, and the power that gives us with intimacy with others in the 8th house, the power that might give us in order to relish in our power financially by knowing that we deserve to experience luxury, that we deserve to experience more security. And with Chiron moving through Taurus, kind of moving into kind of the neutral field, this is putting in the work to do so. This is staying consistent with the effort that we're putting in on Earth, and then also consistent when it comes to experiencing the luxury, right? So we're seeing kind of balance of putting in the work, experiencing the good, right? The blessings, I should say. Then we have the shadow of Taurus, which it reminds me so much too. I think I've used this analogy in another video. Evan Almighty. It's a funny movie. It's Steve Carell as Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman is God. He's sitting in a diner with Steve Carell's wife. At the time, she wanted her family to be close again. And he said, do you think if somebody prays and asks God for courage, that he's just going to give them courage? Or is he going to give them the opportunity to be courageous? And then he says the same thing about, I'll just say the universe to kind of include more people. But if you pray to the universe for, your family to be close, do you think that the universe is going to give you just everyone wakes up and is close, or is the universe going to give you the opportunity and different opportunities for family to choose and be close? And so that being said, this is creating opportunities for us to live in luxury. This is creating opportunities. The universe, God, is giving opportunities for Libra risings with Chiron moving through the 8th house to face their own shadows, to address what's keeping them from luxury, from consistency, from control, from simplicity, from our true values, that align with our self-worth and anything keeping us from what we truly feel like we deserve. And that is awesome. And so this is also power in art, power in sensuality. This is matching up with some of those fifth house placements and some of the other things that we had talked about. So there's matching themes here, but this is really going to be to also with just Chiron moving through the eighth house. This could be too where we're starting to feel more comfortable getting intimate with ourselves, and that's going to lead to more intimacy within our relationship. So for example, the eighth house uncovers a lot of things that we hide too. So for example, like if we have shoved a bunch of clothes in the corner, it's time to go through all of those clothes, and we will when we have Chiron in the eighth house. Whatever we've shoved aside, whatever, especially if we're ashamed or embarrassed, those are some of the shame is like one of the lowest frequency emotions, right? Like it might be on a lot of the scales that I've seen, like bottom. Because that guilt, it can eat at us. Like that's why that's a saying, right? It can eat at us. And Taurus is around really preserving what it has, and it's always leading it back to simplicity, right? And we may need to go to the opposite side, Scorpio, with Chiron moving through our second house, and look at our values, right? So let's say, for example, we really value, like when we look at people's cars, we really value how clean their car is inside. Like we just love a clean car inside. We love a car that's decorated with little gadgets and things. But then we may want that so bad, but we may be putting the power outside of ourselves, right? Versus putting the power, which is Scorpio, which is destroying all obstacles and going straight for what we desire, no matter how much they have to change. They search for the truth first. So this is going to be searching for the truth first, of locating the truth of why we don't have the luxury yet, why we don't have that relationship yet, why we're not, in a steady place in our relationship, or we may not feel as powerful, or we may not feel like whatever it is that are the shadows of what we feel like we could be missing with the eighth house, we feel like we could be missing with Taurus. Chiron's going to train us so that not only do we heal, which is just so beautiful, because when you heal, you glow different. It's insane. And this probably will cover a lot of different topics within this, right? Like we could be getting our money up. We could be becoming really real and closer in our marriage, in our relationship. We also could be getting really, really real with ourselves and looking at our body and loving our body. And then when we do have intimacy, we have so much self-love. It's going to start with self first, and it's going to trickle out into the other things that we are attached to in our life, so that we have a better relationship with the things that we're attached to in our life. So, and this also, I found that Chiron, because Chiron was taught and then he taught others, I also find that Chiron's archetype is, as we're healing, we are also teaching others. So we also could trigger other people, right? As we're healing and we're not the same anymore, and we've upgraded and we're healing and we're receiving different blessings. We're receiving different security, different luxuries, different, self-worth. And this could be something too where, therefore we could be the one doing the healing work that's raising the vibration of our different relationships, which there's a lot within refining the relationships in our life and honoring that you're your own individual, I'm my own individual. Let's kind of come at it like that, right? And so, I do think that the security that's being gained, we're gonna also lean into our Libra rising life path even more. This is a very, very important transit for activating like even more the full spectrum of what you came here to experience. That being said, let's go ahead and just roll the astro dice for you guys. That is all with the transits. My spirit guides, the very beautiful, very, very graceful, cool Libra risings. What's a message for them? What's something either we didn't talk about or something very important that they should take away for 2026? Ooh, okay. So yep, we have the South Node. So I do think that the South Node passing over Leo, that section of the reading was very, very important for you guys. Maybe there's something to go back and listen to for that. However, this is also, let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, the second house. Okay, so we're letting go of anything that's holding us back from true stability, like with all the different things that we're attached to in our life, like our habits and how that then affects, our ability to create security in our life, right? And that could be this is like just letting go of anything that's holding us back from making more money, from being more confident, from our relationships thriving, just like, and holding back. This is letting go of anything holding us back from stability. And I love that. We're entering a new stability. We're letting go of past timelines too. Like if there's been any emotional like heaviness, like around work, around money, around like, I want this lifestyle, or I want this thing. Like I feel like I'm so close to kind of leaning more in towards my Libra rising, which is like better relationships, like more peace. Like I just want balance in my life. This is that. We are letting go of a lot of different things, but I do feel like it is going to be very tied to values, which is, I remember when my values changed a lot with a second house transit, and you become, I think, so passionate and just like, I need this, that like, this is just what I value. Right. And so we have that. And then I also think this could be past deeds that are going to bring you in money. Like, let's say you worked at a company for a long time. They could just be paying you out. Like, even if you get let go, because there are some career shifts, like this is getting paid out. Or even like a way in which you used to make money, you might dip into that again. Or there could be people from the past also that are going to help with money. Then we have, and letting go of the past will also bring in more money. Okay. And then we have Aries, which this is letting me know too that, the Chiron transit, the South Node transit, and the seventh house transit. So basically the planets entering Aries, the Chiron entering Taurus, and then the South Node in Leo and Virgo. Those are going to be the very, very important parts of your chart. I feel like these dice are, first, I haven't done this with the other readings, the other videos that I've done, but it's letting me know that to look at those areas of your chart. And I think that's how I'm going to be able, or this video, the content is going to be able to, you can apply that to any placements that you have there as well. That being said, with Aries, yeah, I love this. This is you becoming a more secure version of yourself, like stepping into your true power. This could also be stepping into entrepreneurship, especially if we wanted that early on. Like we wanted to be an artist, we wanted to be create content, we wanted to, whatever it may be. It's stepping into that, and also letting go of anything that doesn't serve emotionally anymore, so that we can have a really interdependent relationship. This interdependent relationship, this second house Aries, is coming through really big. So be very powerful in finances, even if we gotta like get rid of some things first. Last but not least, let's go ahead and flip through a page. All right, so we have April 8th. And as your very important or special date, so Aries also came up in your dice. Aries season is going to be very exciting. That's also right around like the astrological new year. As an adult, you know that you're responsible and accountable for your choices, actions, and words. You also know that there isn't anything you can't manage or cope with. Life has taught you as much. As a master of your destiny, you're well equipped to deal with the consequences of your choices, and when necessary, realign yourself with your true path. When faced with several different options, relax in the knowing that you have the insight, wisdom, and confidence to choose what is right for you. Don't allow the amount of different options scare you into not making any choice at all. The path is mastered through trial and error. In order to know if something is for you, experience is your greatest teacher. Utilize your higher awareness and make a conscious choice about where you go from here. Your movements are being supported universally. And the affirmation at the bottom says, I have the confidence to make the necessary choices for my evolution with confidence. So this makes so much sense with the dice to like the Aries and the second house. Taking action is going to be better than taking no action towards what you want, and you will gain more security, more security in self. Like if there's like this anxiety of like, and that could also be the South Node moving through the 12th house of like a critical voice that we're letting go of, or anxiety or kind of like scatteredness or like a lack of organization where it's like, all right, like intuition I got this actually from my friend Esotero. She has always said intuition whispers, it doesn't scream. Anxiety screams, right? And so I think this is where if you listen, right, then the thought of what to take action towards, the game plan, the gut instinct will come through, and then we can organize a plan for that, or we can intuitively move through that with destiny, right? So it's like taking what's in our control within our control and leaving what's not in our control, letting it go. So that is everything that I do have for you, Libra risings. If you watched until the very end, these videos have gotten progressively longer and longer as I film. I just feel like there's nothing I can cut out when I'm looking at these transits and your guys' messages. But if you made it to the end, put a flamingo emoji. I feel like that's so Libra. It's just like the pretty pink bird. If there is a flamingo emoji, if there's not a flamingo emoji, maybe like a bird with a bow. And I'll meet you guys with one back. Other than that, just take care, take it easy. And if you guys are looking for any other rising sign video, you want to look for a boo, you want to look for your parent, you want to look for whoever, you can click the notification bell and the rest of the series will be posted. And then I also have in my playlist all the other rising signs. So you could just click on playlist on my YouTube channel and then the rest of them will pop up. Stay safe. Love you. Talk to you guys later. Bye.